December 1988, I was updating the mailing list at our theater when I came upon a familiar entry, Eleanor and Walter Davis, who were older cousins of mine. Eleanor was a bright and cheerful presence at family gatherings, and Walter was a warm and droll artist. I always enjoyed getting together with them and swapping stories, but the story that was about to unfold would be the most remarkable one of all. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. My cousins Eleanor and Walter had attended a few shows at the Colony Theater, but none recently. In fact, they had moved to Oregon, which meant that the chances of their ever seeing another show were very slim. I hesitated before deleting their names from the mailing list. Should I leave them on to keep them informed of our productions? Or is this a waste of the theater's resources? I consulted Barbara, my then wife and artistic director. We reviewed the pros and cons, eventually deciding that as much as we adored E&W, they should be deleted. You know how these things go, I said as I pressed the delete key. We'll probably never see them again. We sighed a mutual sigh at the loss and went about our business. Life goes on. 2 weeks later, Barbara and I decided to spend New Year's Eve in Westwood Village. At the time, it was the entertainment capital of the LA area, with many great movie theaters and restaurants. Rain Man had just opened there, and I was curious to see if Tom Cruise could really act, or if he was just another movie star. Good enough reason to brave the holiday traffic, so we ventured forth. We arrived early and decided to kill some time at the Rathskeller, a Bavarian restaurant nearby. Over drinks, as usual, Barbara and I discussed theater business, which brought us to the subject of Eleanor and Walter. We were recounting the deletion of their mailing list entry and how sad it made us feel when, and this really happened, the door flew open and in walked Eleanor and Walter. Wow. Barbara, Michael, what a surprise! Barbara always got top billing for my family. Trooping in after them were their kids and their spouses, all of whom shared in the amazement at our chance meeting. When we told them that we had been discussing them at the very moment they appeared, they were astounded. What are you two doing in Westwood? Eleanor inquired. We're waiting to see Rain Man, I replied. We just came from Rain Man, she responded. How was it, I asked. Can Tom Cruise really act? Oh, he was great. You're going to love it. And we did. It was a memorable New Year's Eve and provided fodder for family gatherings for the next 12 months. No one could get over the amazing coincidence. Personally, I just loved it because I believe that when your life provides good story material, you're living it right. Life in the theater continued. We added and deleted many names from our mailing list and saw many actors come and go. Like my cousins, these people were family, and we missed many of them dearly. A year later, we discussed how to spend New Year's Eve. Since I had picked last year's venue, it was Barbara's turn. She wanted to see a play at the Pasadena Playhouse, so off we went. On the way there, naturally, we talked about the prior New Year's Eve and its remarkable coincidence. Something like that could happen, we agreed, only once in a lifetime, which happened to be the name of one of our favorite plays. At the Playhouse, we discussed old theater friends. The names Jennifer and Andy came up, as these were two of our favorites. They had met at our theater and gotten married, but had moved to some godforsaken place in the Midwest. We wondered what Jennifer and Andy were doing tonight and if they were still working as actors. Instead of driving home right after the show, we decided to walk along Colorado Boulevard to look at the crazies camped out for the Rose Parade next morning. Our conversation continued on the subject of absent friends. As we passed Catalina Avenue, we heard voices calling our names. Barbara, Michael! We turned and there, this really happened, stood Eleanor and Walter. 2 years in a row, I shouted in disbelief. Walter asked, what are you doing here? Oh, I replied, we just saw a show at the Playhouse and thought we'd check out the crazies camped on Colorado Boulevard. What are you doing here? We're camped out for the Rose Parade. Their children and their spouses tumbled out of an RV, and we hugged each other and spent time catching up. We all spoke of how last year's coincidence had provided us great story material, but how this repeat would surely strain credulity. And it did. My relatives had a difficult time believing me when I told them the story. Strangely enough, however, they did believe Barbara. The next New Year's Eve, we thought long and hard about where to go. We had no idea if Eleanor and Walter would be in town, but if they were, where would they be? We listed various places and eventually decided on Hollywood Boulevard. So we went to the movies there, but Eleanor and Walter didn't make an appearance. Undeterred, we drove to Westwood Village, and then to Pasadena, and to all the other items on our list. But Eleanor and Walter Davis were nowhere to be found. In fact, we never saw them again. All good stories, I believe, have a moral, some lesson you can draw to apply to your own life. So what is the moral of this story? I've been thinking about this for many years, and I've come up with this universal truth. Try as you might, you can never find Eleanor and Walter. Eleanor and Walter have to find you.